Great leaders don't always have all the answers, but they create environments where people feel safe enough to navigate uncertainty together. That's great leadership. Not pretending everything is fine, not controlling perception, not performing confidence while privately creating fear. Real leadership creates psychological safety. Now, despite what some of the models are out there, I implore you not to follow the bad examples of leadership that we see in real time in our society, many times from our public figures, because those are ones that are completely disconnected to what really is required to get what you're looking for as a leader, to get people behind the idea, to show up, to be engaged. And I think one of the reasons employees disengage so deeply is because many workplaces have become emotionally transactional. People feel managed instead of valued. If you're a CEO, entrepreneur, or business owner that can't seem to figure out what is blocking you from attaining the next level of growth in your business, then listen up. I'm Maria De Laurentiis Reyes. I've taken what I've learned in 30 years working inside multi-million-dollar corporations, building my own business, and consulting my clients, and discovered 5 themes that stop a business from scaling. I've created a tool to help you get the answers you need to get unstuck and unlock the next level of growth. Head over to scale.mariadr.com and click the link to get your custom Scale Factor Formula scorecard when this episode is over. Hey everybody, welcome to Finding the Upside. I'm your host, Maria De Laurentiis Reyes, and today I want to talk about trust. This is a leadership crisis that nobody wants to admit, because I don't think we're living through a talent crisis. Many of my conversations with fellow leaders and executives at companies talk about that. I think we're living through a trust crisis. And honestly, you can feel it everywhere. People don't trust institutions the way they used to. They don't trust media the way they used to. They don't trust corporations the way they used to. And increasingly, employees don't trust leadership the way they used to either. And before anybody gets defensive, I think it's important to understand that this didn't happen overnight. And there's many factors that contribute to this. Trust erodes slowly through inconsistency, through misalignment, through broken promises, through performative behavior, through leaders saying one thing and modeling another. And eventually, people stop believing words. They start believing patterns. That's where we are right now. We're in a moment where people are watching behavior more closely than messaging. And honestly, I think that's a healthy correction. Because for a long time, organizations focused heavily on optics. And some still are. Think about branding, statements, mission language, culture campaigns. But what you need to recognize is that people today are asking deeper questions. They're asking and looking at, how are employees actually treated? Who gets heard in meetings? Who gets opportunities? What happens when someone speaks up? What behaviors are rewarded? What behaviors are ignored? Because culture isn't built through presentations, it's built through repeated experiences. And one of the biggest leadership mistakes I see is leaders assuming people stop paying attention once the meeting is over. They don't. People are constantly reading emotional cues, whether they're conscious or not. They notice and take in who gets protected, who gets interrupted, who gets acknowledged, who gets excluded, who gets grace, who gets punished. People notice everything, especially in uncertain times. And we are absolutely living in uncertain times. Financial stresses, political division, rapid technological change, layoffs, burnout, social unrest, economic anxiety. People are carrying a lot right now. And as I say to leaders, your people are not doing well. And when uncertainty rises, trust becomes even more important because trust creates stability, not certainty, stability. And there's a difference. Great leaders don't always have all the answers, but they create environments where people feel safe enough to navigate uncertainty together. That's great leadership. Not pretending everything is fine, not controlling perception, not performing confidence while privately creating fear. Real leadership creates psychological safety. Now, despite what some of the models are out there, I implore you not to follow the bad examples of leadership that we see in real time in our society, many times from our public figures, because those are ones that are completely disconnected to what really is required to get what you're looking for as a leader, to get people behind the idea, to show up, to be engaged. And I think one of the reasons employees disengage so deeply is because many workplaces have become emotionally transactional. People feel managed instead of valued. And let me say something important. People don't need perfect leaders. They need honest ones. People can handle hard truths. What destroys trust is inconsistency. And when your words don't match, or I should say, when your actions don't match your words. Saying you value people while overworking them. Say you support inclusion while silencing difficult conversations. Saying mental health matters while rewarding burnout. Saying collaboration matters while leading through fear. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago in another episode. And I talked about living out your values. And that's part of this conversation. But this is important to underscore why this is a leadership crisis. Eventually, people disconnect emotionally from environments that feel performative. And that emotional disconnection is expensive. It affects innovation, retention, engagement, creativity, and collaboration. Because people don't fully invest where they don't feel emotionally safe. That is a non-negotiable. And honestly, I think some leaders underestimate how deeply culture affects performance. You cannot build high-performing teams in a low-trust environment long-term. I talked about this in my most recent Harvard talk. Fear creates compliance. Trust creates commitment. You don't want compliance. You want commitment. There's a huge difference. Compliance is, tell me what to do. Commitment is, I believe in where we're going, and I'm committed to helping us get there. And commitment requires humanity. It requires leaders willing to listen, evolve, self-reflect, and communicate honestly. And here's another thing that I think is happening culturally right now. People are tired of perfectionism. They're tired of curated leadership, polished branding, corporate scripts, manufactured authenticity. People are craving realness, not chaos, not oversharing, not unprofessional behavior, but realness. Leaders who are grounded enough to say, I don't know. We need to do better and improve. Here's what we got wrong. Help me understand your perspective. That builds trust. Defensiveness destroys it. And I think one of the greatest leadership opportunities right now is humility. It always has been, but especially now. That's not a weakness. Humility is a strength. It's the willingness to learn, the willingness to evolve, the willingness to recognize that leadership is not about protecting ego. And as a matter of fact, ego has no place in great leadership. It is about creating environments where people can thrive, because leadership is influence, and influence without trust eventually collapses. So, what's the upside in this? The upside is that trust can be rebuilt, just like any relationship. It does take work, but culture can be rebuilt. teams can reconnect, organizations can evolve, people can grow. But building trust requires alignment, consistent behavior, clear values that are demonstrated through actions, emotional intelligence, accountability, and humanity. And maybe the future belongs to leaders who understand that credibility is no longer created through authority alone. It hasn't for some time. It's time we own it, because the future belongs to those who understand that credibility is created through integrity, not authority. Through how people feel in your presence, through whether your actions match your words, through whether people feel safer, stronger, and more valued because you lead. That's the kind of leadership that people are hungry for right now. And honestly, I think it's the kind of leadership that the world so desperately needs in this moment. I hope you've enjoyed today. Thanks for being here and spending some time with me on Finding the Upside. I look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode. Keep building trust intentionally, leading with humanity in your professional and personal life, and keep finding the upside. Bye, friends. All right, so I hope you loved this episode and found it valuable. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you'd be so kind, if you know someone else that this will help, please share this episode with them. Just grab a link for this specific episode, text it to a friend or colleague so it can help more people like you. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you next time for more entrepreneurial goodness. Same time, same place on the Finding the Upside podcast.